Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to set up a secure Windows environment in order to run untrusted Windows apps. Before we continue, we have to make sure that our Windows 10 is a Pro version instead of just Home, because by default Hyper-V does not work on Home. You either have to have Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise. So for that, we just right click on the Start menu and then we go to System, and then down here under Edition, it would tell you your version. If you do not have Pro or Enterprise and you have Home, then you can either buy a Home or a Pro license, which are pretty cheap. They're like $30. You can just click the link on the description, or you can just follow this website. I'm going to put the link on the description as well, where they show you. They have a script that automatically enables Hyper-V for home users. Um, you can download the script. As long as they don't change the script, you can download it and it will be safe. I manually reviewed it and the script doesn't do anything malicious. So um, it creates a directory and then it copies a file and it enables the feature. So like none of these commands are malicious. If you don't trust the script, you can just always download it and Google every single line of code that's in the script um, and you will see if it's safe or not. Well, anyways, after you verify that you have Pro, then we can continue with installing Hyper-V. Okay, so what we first have to do is install the Hyper-V role on your computer. So you go to the control panel and then go click on uninstall programs. So on here, go to categories, then uninstall programs, and then here click on turn Windows features on and off. And then it's gonna ask you for an administrator password. If your account is an administrator, it should not ask you for this. Okay, so here on this list, we scroll to the Hyper-V section. Generally, it will be unchecked like this. So what you have to do is check it, make sure both of them are checked, and then click OK. Then it's gonna go to an update process, and it's gonna ask you to restart Windows. So once you restart Windows, then you can go in here and go to Hyper-V. If your account is not an administrator, make sure you run this as administrator. And then here you can choose administrator and run it. Anyways, after you have Hyper-V installed, then it will automatically connect to your computer here. If it doesn't, you can just click connect to server and look and click on local computer, and that should connect to your computer. Then here you can just click on quick create, and it's gonna ask you to choose an ISO. So what I'm gonna choose is the Windows 10 environment. So I'm gonna go and install Windows 10. All right, so I'm gonna go to Google. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna go to Google to download the ISO and just search for Windows 10 download, and then it's the first one that comes up here. Then click on download tool now and just run the tool. It's gonna ask you to run as administrator. After you open the tool, it's gonna ask you for a few stuff, and then you're gonna be able to download the Windows 10 as an ISO. Then we click on create an installation media, and then just leave that checked. Next, then ISO file, and then just save the ISO file on your C drive. That will be fine. And now we wait for it to download. Okay, now the ISO should be on the C drive. Okay, and now we should be able to create the VM from this ISO. Now that we have the ISO, we can now click on change installation source, go to the C drive, and choose a Windows ISO. And then here, click on this little drop down and let's change the name to whatever you want. Windows Unsecure Machine. Now we click on connect. Um, Actually, before we click on connect, let's make sure that the machine has enough resources. So let's go to settings and let's see how many cores does it have. So at the moment is giving it all my core. So the way Hyper-V works is that, so I have 8 cores on my computer and it's gonna give all of it to this machine. But just because it has 8 cores doesn't mean that my computer is gonna run slow. It just means that it's gonna be able to use 8 cores. But my computer is gonna still be able to use those cores as well. So if this machine is running like a video editing software that uses a lot of CPU, it might slow down my system. So although this is not horrible because the machines will never use that much, I recommend you do like half. For example, I have 8 cores, so I recommend you do 4. If you have 4 cores, I recommend you do about 2 cores, like this. And then the memory, uh, you should make this at least 4 GB. So memory is 4 GB, and then the core just to have. I'm gonna do 4 in my situation. And when you first boot up the machine, make sure to unselect this because the machine might not boot from the ISO if you have this selected. So just make sure it's off, click apply, and now you can turn the machine on. And then when you see that screen, you have to press a key. Okay, so this is just a normal Windows installation. Next, install. You don't need a key for this, so click skip. Then you can just choose Pro or Home. For this, it doesn't really matter. Next. Okay, so this happens sometimes. I have another video showing how to fix this issue. So the reason why this is happening is because in here, there's a floppy drive that's connected. So let's see. So uh, let's see. So this is the ISO. Sorry, this is the machine's disk. This is the ISO. Um, and there's actually no floppy drive connected. Hmm. All right. So sometimes that happens because of this. There might be a floppy drive that's connected, or because there's not enough RAM assigned to the machine. So let's turn this machine off. Okay. And on the memory, let's do minimum RAM. Let's do 2 GB. All right. So let's change the RAM to 2 GB. All right. Or the minimum RAM. And then let's press a key. Oh, and before you press a key, you have to click inside the black window. So you click inside the black window, then you press your keyboard. All right, and then now you go next, install. I don't have a key. Then Pro, next. And now, yeah, it should work. Yep. All right, so that was the issue. The minute, even though we allowed 4 gig of RAM, the minimum amount of RAM that I gave it was 500 megs. So make sure this is like about 2 GB for the minimum. All right, so here I just like to create a new one. So here I always like to go to custom, and then I always delete everything that's in here, and then create a new one and click apply. All right, and then once we do this, we click next. All right, and now it's gonna install Windows. Okay, so once the machine is up, then we just go through the normal installation process. We click our state and region. Uh, Next, skip. Here, if it's saying that, just click I don't have internet. Then continue with limited setup and create an account. The questions don't matter. Okay, so once the machine is up, uh, I made it a little bit too big. Let me resize it. Oh, perfect. It's not letting me resize it. Okay, guess I'll do full screen. Okay, so this is the virtual machine, and it looks like it didn't get internet connection. Let me actually test that out. Let's go open CMD, and let's try pinging Google DNS. So the machine did not get internet connection. So we go back to the machine, we go to settings, and let's go to the network. And it's part of the default switch, but that switch is not does not have internet connection. Okay, so I found the issue. Um, so how I found the issue out was I went to right here on the right side. I went to Virtual Switch Manager, and then I clicked on the default switch. And as you can see, the default switch is using an internal network. So so that means that it can communicate with my computer, but that's about it. It cannot communicate with the world, or get internet. So what I have to do is create a new switch and make an external switch and create it. And then here it will automatically connect to your computer switch. So just click that one. And then let's see, allow management operation system to share this network adapter. Okay, we can just leave that checked. And then here we can just call it Ethernet. And then apply. All right. And that should be there. So this machine should still not have internet because we haven't switched the adapter. So what we have to do is click on the machine, click on settings, click on network adapter, and switch to the Ethernet adapter. Click apply, and let's see. We might need to reboot it, but hopefully not. Let's see. Okay, yep. So it should have an IP address now. Yep, it has a private IP address, and now we should be able to ping to Google. Yes. Okay, cool. So now we have a virtual machine running Windows 10 that's able to connect to the internet. So what we should do now is make sure that Windows is up to date. We go to Windows Updates and check for updates. And there's gonna be a bunch of updates. So we let those updates download and install. Okay, so once it's done updating, click on restart. All right, cool. So Windows is up to date. So what we do is once leave the machine running, and then down here up here, you can just right click on it and click create checkpoint, and that will create a checkpoint down here. Okay, so then you can just rename this for so you can better identify it, and just you can just rename it to clean up to date. All right, so from now on you can just start using this machine however you want to. You can install all the software you want to in there, all the stuff that you don't trust. So I would recommend you install any software that you don't trust in here and use it in here. And in order to keep your local machine safe from all the untrusted software. And whenever you have an issue, then you can just always go back to this clean checkpoint. So since we took the checkpoint while the machine was running, you can just right click on the checkpoint and click apply. And then just click apply here. And that will take the machine back to where you first created the checkpoint from. So if you ever have an issue with your machine, you can just go back to the checkpoint and it will go back to being brand new, up to date. You can keep doing this. So if there's a software you install that you trust, then you can create another checkpoint and then another checkpoint and another checkpoint. And just keep creating checkpoints all along up to the point where you install a software that maybe makes the system unstable and then it starts crashing. Then once that application does that, then you can just go back to the previous checkpoint and right click and click apply. And that way you never have to rebuild this machine ever again. And you can just always maintain it up to date. And of course, this machine is not meant to store personal data. I don't recommend you log into your personal bank account or anything in it. This is only to mess with software that you don't trust. Everything else that's personal, you should do on your main computer. The virtual machine is only for untrusted software. So always remember that because I done that mistake before where I logged into my Facebook account into a virtual machine that had a virus, and then I had to go and retrieve my um, Facebook account, and that's not fun. So always, you can also change the time zone to match your actual time zone. So let's see, there was the East Coast right here. Yep. So that's how you create a virtual machine that's secure slash unsecure at the same time. um, and I recommend you always do this, and I recommend you always run stuff you don't trust in here. Never, 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 ever run stuff you don't trust on your local computer because you will get a virus 100% of the time. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.